This is San Cristobal de las Casas, a city in the state of Chiapas, Mexico. In this city, people drink 2 liters of soda per day, especially Coca-Cola. San Cristobal de las Casas is the record holder of the most soda consumed in any part of the world. Each person drinks more than 700 liters per year. And 90% of that is Coca-Cola. You could say they're in love with Coca-Cola and they drink it more than water, which is why the diabetes rate is extremely high in this part of Mexico. If you go to the hospital of this city, you'll see that most people in this town are sick with diabetes or any other sickness relating to too much sugar intake. But why do the people of this city drink so much soda? Because clean drinking water is very scarce in this town and soda is cheaper, so they choose the cheaper route. San Cristobal de las Casas is in a very rainy part of Mexico, so there's a lot of fresh water flowing in. But why is there no clean water for drinking? Only one main pipe leads into this city with clean water, but it's not really clean, it's just clean with a whole lot of chlorine. And when you drink it, it tastes like pool water. So the people prefer not to drink this trash, because if you drink it long term, you will get sick. You might ask, why don't they just buy bottled water then? Because Coca-Cola or any other soda is cheaper than bottled water. Also, it has beautiful packaging. I mean, look at it, it catches your eyes and you want to drink it. There are 4 drinking options in this town. They can drink the tap water, which is extremely sickening. They can drink alcohol. They can buy expensive bottled water. Or they can drink soda. If you were in this position, which one would you choose? But why doesn't the Mexican government provide clean water to this town? I mean, there's more than 200,000 people living here. You have to know that the biggest factory in this city is a Coca-Cola factory. The city of San Cristobal de las Casas allows this Coca-Cola factory to create a well underneath it and pull 1 million liters of fresh water per day. Just like we said, there's more than 200,000 people living in this town. So that means every day more than 4.5 liters of water is being taken just for the soda factory, while the people do not have access to fresh water. So the main reason there's a water shortage in this town is the Coca-Cola factory. If you look at the history of this city, you'll see until the 1980s, this town only had a population of about 20,000 people. At that time, fresh water was accessible for every person because there was fresh water flowing in and the population was low, so everyone had their fair share and it wouldn't get polluted. But in a span of 40 years, the population multiplied by 10 and it went crazy. So which is why all the fresh water that would flow in are now polluted. And it's all thanks to the population. From another perspective, the Mexican government doesn't want to invest a whole lot of money to bring fresh water to this town. They add some chlorine so the people have access to a shower, but not drinking water. Alongside this, they don't even have a wastewater plant, so all the sewer goes into the river, which makes it even more dirty. You might say to yourself, why don't the population build their own wells? If you go to City Hall and ask to build a well inside your own backyard, they will put a whole lot of pamphlets in front of you that doesn't allow you to do this because it hurts the environment, it could cause a drought, and blah blah blah. But the funny part is, the same City Hall allows the Coca-Cola factory to pull more than 1 million liters of fresh water per day from the ground. It's not like they cause droughts or hurt the environment by doing this. The answer is very simple. It's all corruption. Not only in this town though, the entire country of Mexico is corrupted with Coca-Cola. You have to know that the #1 user of Coca-Cola is Mexico. Unfortunately, a lot of Mexicans love to drink Coca-Cola instead of water, and marketing has a lot to do with it. Some of them even drink Coca-Cola in the morning instead of coffee because there's a whole lot of sugar in there, a whole lot of caffeine, which are both highly addictive. The story of Coca-Cola is not that old because it started in 1968. The 1968 Olympics were in Mexico, and the #1 sponsor of this event was Coca-Cola. So a whole lot of advertisement and Coca-Cola pumped into this country that had never seen soda before. But the advertisement was so damn good that it made people that had never drank soda start drinking it. And because of the sugar and caffeine, they got addicted quickly. And worst of all, in Mexico, Coca-Cola is usually cheaper than water. In Mexico alone, there are more than 56 Coca-Cola factories. So that means Mexico is in second place after the United States in the number of factories. And it's interesting to note that in third place, it's Nigeria, because they want to do the same thing to the African market, it seems like. You have to note that Coca-Cola is produced in every single country except Cuba and North Korea. In every country, you'll find a few factories that make Coca-Cola, but not 56 like Mexico. In the state of Chiapas in Mexico, more than 50% of the population are native Mexicans. Basically, 100% original Americans, not Spanish. The form of advertisement in this state is kind of interesting because it's all about the natives, and it wants to make the natives feel involved. Of course, one of the cities of Chiapas is San Cristobal de las Casas. If you go over to someone's house in this city, they will bring you Coca-Cola. And if you accept it, it's fine. But if you say it's bad for you, they will be deeply offended because they don't believe that. And it's all thanks to the amount of money Coca-Cola spends on advertisement to brainwash people. Coca-Cola is so important in people's lives in this city that they have entered their religious ceremonies. Like you have different ceremonies around the world that put certain things on the table on the holidays. But these people put Coca-Cola alongside other stuff in their religious ceremonies. The worst of all is that in the state of Chiapas, a lot of people believe that Coca-Cola is a medicine. And when you get sick, you should drink Coca-Cola to feel better. In a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola, there's more than 200 grams of sugar. And doctors say nobody should drink more than 50 grams of sugar per day. Too much sugar destroys your teeth, makes you overweight, gives you diabetes, and any other type of sickness you can think of. You have to know that sugar doesn't affect a European, Asian, or African person as much as it affects a Native American. Native Americans never used sugar through history. They didn't even eat honey. But once they were introduced to it by the Europeans, they started using a whole lot of sugar. After the 20th century, a lot of foods and drinks started having a whole lot of sugars, and they were introduced to the Native Americans throughout South and North. If you look at any type of Native American, all the way from the North all the way to the South, you'll see the #1 cause of death in these countries is diabetes, because they're 3 times more likely to get diabetes than a European, Asian, or African. Natives never used sugar like this for thousands of years, and all of a sudden you introduce to them something that they'd never use. Of course their body is gonna like it, but they don't know how to fight it like any other person in the world. It's kind of like the Europeans bringing smallpox to the Native Americans. Of course their body was not used to it, and they got eradicated by it. Mexican doctors are very tired of this, because every time someone comes with a disease or sickness relating to too much sugar intake, they're told to stop drinking soda because it has a lot of sugar. That's when they get offended and say, no, soda is good for the disease. Give me some pills to fix me up. The more you pay attention to Mexico, the more you realize that Coca-Cola is the most powerful company there. Coca-Cola has most of the politicians in Mexico on their leash. Like, look at this guy. Vicente Fox, the president of Mexico from 2001 all the way to 2006. But in the 1970s, he was the president of Coca-Cola in Mexico. Even he admitted that the reason I got into politics was because of the Coca-Cola lobby that paid me to enter politics, and they paid for all my advertisement. Vicente Fox is not the only one that did this. He's the one that admitted to it. So it makes you wonder how many politicians in Mexico have Coca-Cola in their pocket. When Coca-Cola is this powerful in a country, of course it's gonna influence its policies. The politicians that are relatively clean and they want to help the people out say we have to add a certain tax to Coca-Cola, kind of like cigarettes, because it's such an unhealthy item. When you add this type of tax, it becomes more expensive than bottled water, which makes it a little bit harder to buy instead of water. But the politicians have Coca-Cola in their pocket, so of course they're gonna veto that type of bill. The politicians tried so hard to add this type of tax that finally in the year 2017 they added it, but it wasn't that substantial because the price of Coca-Cola became the same price as bottled water. It still doesn't matter because people would rather drink the soda rather than water, even if it's the same price. But any type of drink people buy in Chiapas, Coca-Cola is gonna make money. The Mexican people might buy Coca-Cola, Fanta, or bottled water. But the funny thing is Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite, and the #1 bottled water in Mexico is all owned by Coca-Cola. So either way, they're making money off of it. But of course, they'd rather sell the Coca-Cola. We can't say it's because of Coca-Cola that Mexico doesn't have proper running water in Chiapas, and it's hurting the community terribly. All we know is that the company is making a whole lot of money because they're taking advantage of a terrible situation like this.